Hi, everybody. I'm Marlene Williams, and we are super excited. It's the holiday gift away. And right now, I have the joy and the honor of introducing Kristi, who's going to tell us a little bit about her book and all kinds of fascinating things that you never know and didn't know you even wanted to know. So, Kristi, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about the genre of your book and a little bit about the book itself?
You bet. So I'm Kristi Bridges. And have you ever been through a tough time and you thought, "Ugh, this has got to serve a purpose"? Well, I help people share those stories of surviving tough times and what God did through devotional books so that we can help other people maybe avoid our mistakes or at least feel a little comforted and some healing.
Wonderful. And the name of the book that you're going to be offering through the gift away?
Yeah, I'm giving away a copy of the 3 a.m. book, When Divorce Keeps You Up All Night. Back 26 years ago, when I went through my divorce, I could not sleep. And I would walk the lake at night, a lake full of alligators. And I took up smoking to get my brain to shut off,
Oh
which
boy.
should have been a clue about smoking. And so last year, I published the 3 a.m. book, When Divorce Keeps You Up All Night, because these authors that I gathered together have been there along with me. And so we're going to distract you and make you laugh and give you a way to process so that when you're sleepless at night, you can be designing the new life that you'll really enjoy.
Oh gosh, that sounds so wonderful. As a divorced woman myself, I wish I'd had that book a while back. But and let me encourage viewers and or listeners that maybe you're saying, "Well, I'm not divorced; I'm happily married," but you may have a friend or a relative or someone that you care about who is going through this, and this would be the perfect book to gift them with. So, given
Yes.
that, who's your ideal reader, Kristi, for your
Sure.
book?
So for this book, my ideal reader is someone who either has experienced divorce or a heavy breakup, and it may be last week, or it may have
Mm.
been a few years ago. With the statistics the way they are, about half of marriages ending in divorce. Your second marriage is 70% likely to end in
Wow.
divorce. Your third marriage can be 80% likely to end in divorce. That
Oh, wow.
shouldn't have to happen. If at some point we get a hold of something good, some good resources and go, you know what, I'm going to have a different future and maybe even give my kids a chance at a different future because
Wow.
I'm not going to pass on the things that I don't really know are causing me to have broken relationships.
Wow. This is it's and you told me a little earlier before we were on the air
Mhm.
that there is sort of an online component to this book.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
So, and this is again what Marlene just said. Not everybody watching this has been divorced, right? Some of you have been married years, and that's beautiful. But probably at least a handful of people who have been. And so there's an online study that churches or other groups can offer. Any random person can just be a host and invite people who are experiencing this to come together, read this book, and watch some videos with pastors and therapists and a lawyer, a human resources director, different people who can help you make it through the agony of switching lives.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And speaking of kids and things, I want to jump back into learning a little bit more of you as an author. Tell me about the best gift book that you ever got, say for the holidays or maybe for a
Mm.
birthday.
So that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite Christmas gift book as a kid was The Hobbit.
Oh,
And
wow.
oh man, I was 10 years old and I had, I asked for those books for Christmas and there was this really thin wrapping paper and I was trying to see through it to see if that's what it was. So that was really good. And then probably about, I guess it's almost 20 years ago, I was at a friend's house, my friend Kathy's house, and in her bathroom was a book on a shelf um, that she ended up giving me that night. And it was like the power button for suddenly I could create the life I wanted to live. It was called I Will Not Die an Unlived Life.
Ooh,
And it
wow, what a great
really,
title.
thank you, Kathy, if you're
Yeah.
listening. That book really has meant a lot to me.
Wow. Who do you know the author by any chance? Or if not, we'll put it in the
Oh,
chat. We'll put it in the comments below.
yeah, I'll put it in the chat. It gave me insight into what it's like to be an author so that some of the things that I've been through as an author didn't seem so strange or wrong. And it also just kind of woke me up. I was tired of sitting on the couch waiting for someone else to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
excitement into my life. And I
yeah.
started really getting out there.
Oh, that's awesome. And you are doing an awesome job with this. Well, you have the One Moment Wiser um, sort of empire, I want to say. So
It's a lot of fun.
I really appreciate that too. Tell me a little, let's go back into your childhood again and talk
Yeah.
about what was your first experience in reading? Do you remember who taught you to read or maybe the first book that you read?
Well, so I used to get read to as a
Hmm.
little kid, but my first grade teacher, Miss Paddock, taught me to read. She taught us phonics, and it was like the moment I knew how to decode all those letters, I was reading everything. Shampoo bottles, street
Yeah.
signs, it didn't matter.
Cereal
Um,
boxes, right?
right? I don't even know what my first book was because I didn't stop reading.
You were just immersed in the
Yep.
booking. So do you have a favorite book of all time or a book that you
Mm.
read over and over again?
Okay, and this is going to sound cliche, but it's true. I read the Bible every day. And part of the reason I write devotions is because I have found that a combination of the stories of people you can relate to and the wisdom that's been around for thousands and thousands of years really can be transformative. I can
Mhm.
see the difference in my own life and many of the people I know. And then for fun, I can't say there's one book, but there's an author named Terry Pratchett, passed away a few years ago. But every one of his books, I could just pick up. Usually on a snowed in weekend in the wintertime, I'll pick up one of his books and just go back through it because his style meanders so much that I
Mhm.
rarely remember exactly where we're going. And I love the characters.
I don't think I'm familiar with it. And I think, Kristi, since we're in the same author group, I think I'm going to encourage us to start a list of these
Mm,
recommended books that we've been talking about with some of the other authors, because it's really neat to find out what people have been, they go back every so often because they can't stand not reading it. They just either love the characters, they love living in that time zone or that place. So yeah, let's do that. Let's make a mental note to do that. What
yeah.
book are you reading right now?
Ooh. So I'm actually reading my friend Karen Iverson's new book, Winning the Mental Health Battle,
Oh,
because my
wow.
One Moment Wiser series focuses on mental health from a Christian perspective. And I'm listening to this hilarious book called The Good, the Bad, and the Aunties by
Oh,
it's great. It's by Jesse Sutanto, but the audiobook version has this narrator, uh, Risa May, and she is so funny with all her accents and things
I
that she
love
just
that.
cracks me up every couple of minutes.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so now we know what you're reading, and as you're writing, where are you writing? Is this the room we're looking at right now? Is that your writing room, or do you write elsewhere?
I am kind of a wanderer. I am not a
Ah,
sitter.
the nomad writer.
I am not a sitter. I have an app on my phone called Evernote, and when I'm first creating a chapter, I'll go for a hike, I'll go for a drive, I'll go for,
Mm.
I've paced around my bedroom at night, just talking to text in this app. And then when I feel like I've really got something cohesive and I'm on a roll, that's when I'll sit down at my computer and craft the chapter.
Oh. Are you a pantser or a plotter?
trying to be a plotter, but
I don't know why we elevate one over the other, frankly. All right, kids, I'm a pantser. I'm proud of it. So don't.
right. When it's fiction, I really have a hard time being a plotter, and I just can't
Yeah.
say. When it's devotions, like especially with the 3 a.m. book,
Mm,
it was really important to me that someone who picks this up actually can get somewhere they want to be by the end. And
yeah.
so for that, I did a lot of prayer and planning, and even to the last, like the week before the day when I interviewed all the therapists and everybody, I was like, this book isn't finished. God, there's one
Mm.
more chapter that I need. And funny story. Okay, well, not funny, like goosebumpy story, but my husband suddenly said, "We need to get this flooring fixed. Can you call somebody and get them to take care of this, carpet that we want replaced?" And I'm like, dude, I'm a little busy. But I called, the guy came out to measure it. And when he came out, I was on the phone with one of the therapists who was going to do the section on safe people. And I kept talking to her, showed him where to go. And afterwards, I apologized and told him about what we've been talking about. And he told me a story. He said, I hardly ever share, I don't usually share things from my life, personal stuff, but you got to hear the story. And that story ended up being the first chapter in the book.
Wow.
It's so good.
That is awesome.
Right. So, anyway, yeah, but I don't know why I went off into that, but
Well, I'll
the
circle the
panther
wagons
platter.
back to, yes, Panther or
Right.
Plotter. Right, right, right. Okay, so now we know. So, I have one official question, but I want to
Yeah.
sneak in a sneaky question here and ask you, what is it that gives you the most sense of satisfaction out of this particular book? Not just your work as a whole,
Mm.
but this particular book.
You know, there were so many times, as a writer, as a creative, right? I don't know about you, but a lot of the creatives I know go through kind of what I go through, where you get really excited and then you
Mhm.
think maybe nobody will care,
Yeah.
or maybe it should be. Why am I even doing this? Am I just doing this for myself? But there were so many times in the creation of this book, when God just visibly showed me that I
Mm.
wasn't doing it alone, that He was partnering with me,
Oh,
because I went to a Christmas party right at the beginning. And um, I was just there to support a friend of mine. He surrounded me with therapists,
oh,
who ended up, many of them being part of the project. And there were just so many times when he showed up to make it obvious that this wasn't just my imagination.
yes. Talk about confirmation. That's beautiful. Well, and now comes the official question that you did get a chance to look at ahead of time.
Mhm.
All right, all of the gift away books, all 9 of the gift away books, whatever the genre, convey a spiritual truth. So, what spiritual truth do you think is front and center in your book?
You know, and this comes up repeatedly in my books, but it's not over.
Yeah.
No matter what dreams you started with that you feel are dashed, no matter what amount of your trust was shattered, by your experience, it's not over with. And believe it or not, God has something so good that it's worth keeping showing up for.
Oh,
God
love
has
that.
something so good in your future. You will get
Mm.
there.
And folks, if that doesn't make you want to buy this book immediately, I don't know what will. So if you do want to, where do they go to get the book? They don't want to wait for the gift away. They want to get it right now. Where do they go?
Right? I'll put a link in the comments, but you can go to onemomentwiser.com or Amazon, or basically any place that you order books, but I'll put a link in the comments for you.
Okay, fantastic, Kristi. And I just want to thank you so much for sharing your heart and sharing about your book, getting anybody who wants to enter excited about that. So enter. There's information in the comments below. And like we said, there's one winner, one grand prize winner that gets 9 signed, autographed by the authors, paperbacks. And then there are 9 winners winners. Well, there may be winters too, but 9 winters that get one ebook. And that will be selected, I assume, at random. But anyway, we are so grateful that you're watching, and we're excited for the winners. So enter now. And if you can't stand and wait for Kristi's book, just go out and buy it. And then when you win, you can gift away your book to someone this holiday. Thanks
That's
again.
right.
Happy holidays, everybody.